So, Sabona! Sabona. Did you guys forget your Zulu already? Okay, juniors and seniors, who remembers who I am? Juniors and seniors, who remembers me? None of you remember me, really? 2 people remember me. Okay, 3 people remember me. What did I talk about last time I was here?
Oh, right. I completely forgot.
Completely forgot. Unbelievable. So you're going to forget what I say today by the time tomorrow comes around?
No.
Okay, good. So, my name is Kevin. I was here a couple years ago. I talked about international relief, right? I talked about Haiti, talked about South Africa. So for those of you freshmen and sophomores who weren't here, for all of you juniors and seniors who apparently have a memory of about a week, here's a quick recap, okay? What did I talk about last time? In 2010, there was a big earthquake in Haiti, right? A lot of buildings were destroyed, a lot of people were displaced, so people had to live in tents, temporary shelter, anything they could find. Right, so a lot of volunteers from the U.S., including many people in this room here, went to Haiti, and we did a couple things. We did distribution, so we brought food and blankets and tents with us. We had a medical clinic, so we had dentists and Eastern doctors and Western doctors take time off and fly down there and treat people of Haiti. All right, so South Africa. South Africa has been hit by what? What's historically one of the biggest things that's happened in South Africa in the last 100 years? Who just passed away a couple months ago? Big name in South African history. Nelson Mandela. Anybody know Nelson Mandela? Yes, okay. So what was the big event in history that he signaled the change of? He marked the end of apartheid. Thank you. Okay. So apartheid. Yes. Give him a round of applause. Go ahead. Go ahead and give him a round of applause. What's your name? Stanley. Good job, Stanley. Okay. So what was apartheid? Apartheid was legalized segregation, right? Legalized discrimination. So the native black South Africans were forced to live in certain areas of the country. Now, even though that legally isn't enforced anymore, the legacy of it still exists, right? So much of the black impoverished nation still lives in these areas that we call townships today, okay? So we, a couple years ago, I had the opportunity to go to South Africa, and we visited these townships. So we visited the schools. We brought some books and toothpaste and toothbrushes donated by people here in the U.S. and we distributed them to the students in South Africa. We also tagged along with our Zulu sisters. So these are native Zulu South Africans who are now City volunteers. And so we tagged along and see what they did. So on a regular basis, they go out and do community outreach, right? They do kind of what we're doing now, actually, talking about the values of City and inspiring people to come join and be volunteers. They take care of all kinds of orphans. So some of these ladies themselves, live in poverty, and yet they are able to, on a regular basis, feed, possibly up to 100, 150 orphans on their own. And how do they do that? Well, they actually grow a lot of vegetables, kind of like, actually, the video you guys are just showing, planting some stuff, making use of the natural resources that they have around. So, by the way, for those of you who don't know what a cabbage looks like, that's what a cabbage looks like when it's not in Safeway, okay, before it gets to Safeway. Right, so they plant these and they use these to feed the orphans. They also do house visits. So they visit people with AIDS, with tuberculosis, people who suffered strokes, any kind of physical or mental issues, they will go visit them. Now, they don't necessarily, they don't have any medical training, but what they do is they come, they take care of them, they make them feel better. Now, given all that, today's talk is not about Haiti or South Africa. Okay. Right, so why do I mention it? Well, I've given several talks on Haiti and South Africa, and I've gotten similar responses often from parents who say, wow, that's amazing. How do I get my son or daughter to go to Haiti or South Africa? And my response is, slow down. Haiti and South Africa, the place that we went to, it's not like driving down to Palo Alto. I wouldn't necessarily recommend taking your young son or daughter and sending them across the ocean. But why are parents so interested in how they can send you guys over there? Because the stories are very inspiring, right? You see people, and why are they inspiring? Well, you see people who are in very challenging situations, right? And you see people who volunteer their time and help them feel better, right? And you see the gratitude on these people's faces. And then you see them understand the power of love and compassion, and then they pass it on forward, right? They join and they try to help other people as well. Well, so my response is, you know what? Those kinds of inspiring stories exist all around us in our own backyard, right? We don't need to fly 3,000 miles to see that. I mean, just a couple examples. You know, we have medical clinics here that we do all the time. Why do we do them? Because there's a lot of people who can't afford basic medical care, right? There's people who haven't had a dentist checkup in, who knows, 10, 20, however many years. So, you know, this here, for example, is a medical clinic that we had in Oakland. And this was in a partnership with an organization called RAM, where every day for about 4 days, something like that, at least in Oakland, 4 in Sacramento, we saw like something like 800 people a day. That's a lot of people getting checkups who wouldn't have been able to otherwise. This here is in Gilroy. It's at a homeless shelter there. In the winter, we have teams from around the Bay Area visit every week, and they give them a hot dinner, right? So there's a lot of stories here in the Bay Area, and today we're going to focus on one of them, which is the nursing homes, right? And so we're very lucky today to have Ms. Alma Gopez, who is the activities coordinator at Cupertino Healthcare and Wellness Center. She's going to come up here and talk a little bit about what goes on in a nursing home. And as the MCs mentioned, I also volunteer at Herman Healthcare Center in San Jose, which I know some of you guys visit on a regular basis. And so then I'll come up and talk a little bit about my experiences with you guys there. All right, so everybody, join me in giving a big warm welcome to Ms. Alma Gopez. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to share some of my experiences with you guys at Herman. And hopefully give you guys some ideas that'll help you make the most of your experiences going forward with the nursing homes. So, what I hear from parents is that students, you guys, often ask them, why do we go to a nursing home, right? Well, Ms. Alma touched on that a little bit already, right? She remember what she said? By coming in and singing with them and engaging with them, it makes them feel important, right? And with the lack of that, it's often easy to you know, without people visiting and paying attention to them, it's easy for them to fall into depression, right? But I'll touch on it a little bit more as well, right? In terms of how we can bring joy to the residents. But there's another thing here that I want to touch on, which I think often gets overlooked, which is that it is a wonderful learning and growing experience for all of us to be there. So I'll go on in that in some more detail as well. First, let's talk a little bit about bringing joy to the students. So upcoming, I have a video of some of you guys at Herman Healthcare Center. Now, it just occurred to me, actually, as you guys are walking in, that the people in this video are still in this classroom. So, I'm first off going to say that I'm not trying to put these guys on the spot. These guys actually did a really good job when they were there, okay? But if you're not able to be self-critical, then you don't have the ability to improve, right? So the point of this video is a little bit self-critical, okay? I want you to pay attention to what they're singing and how they're singing it. The volume actually is turned up already. Okay, what song were they singing? If you're happy and you know it, stomp your feet, right? How happy do they look? How happy do they look? If you can't feel the joy in what you're doing, how are you going to use that to bring joy to other people? Right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you another video, and this comes from South Africa. Okay, these are our Zulu sisters. Okay, these are women who themselves live in poverty. Okay, I'm not exaggerating. Some of them live in areas with no running water. Some of them live in mud huts that they built with their own hands. Okay, so they were also victims of apartheid, right? They saw Tzu Chi as an organization that could help them materially alleviate that suffering, right? With food or shelter or clothing. But once they felt the impact of Tzu Chi's love and compassion, they themselves became volunteers. And so, they work with orphans, they work with people who are stuck in their homes because of illnesses, and they sing and dance as a part of everything that they do. So I want you to see what they're like. And again, we didn't change the volume, okay? The volume's at the same level still. So when you're there with them, you feel their passion ooze out of them with every movement that they make, every note that they sing. And no matter how sick you are, once you hear them, you immediately feel better. It doesn't matter that I didn't understand a word that they said. I feel the love, the compassion, the passion that they have. And that's the power of music, and that's the passion that I want you guys to find when you guys are at the nursing homes. So I thought a little bit about why it's so difficult for us to just kind of let go and sing with conviction. It's difficult for me too, okay? It's not like, I walked into a nursing home and day one I knew what to do, okay? I started off in the same place of kind of being like awkward and uncomfortable and not knowing what to do with myself, right? So I thought about it a little bit, like why is this, right? So the first obviously is preparation, right? The more prepared you are, the more comfortable you're going to be. So prepare better, you're going to be more comfortable. Right? That's pretty straightforward. But I actually think it goes a little bit beyond that. So I think that we, all of us, myself included, can get embarrassed easily because we're used to being evaluated and judged on everything. Everything has a grade or an exam at the end. Even music, right? I had to take exams, and then there were recitals, and you were compared to all your peers, right? And when we don't have confidence that we're going to come out on top, then we get kind of closed in, or we get kind of shy, we get kind of embarrassed, and this is, with myself included. And the thing is what I really want you guys to understand is that in these situations, that is completely irrelevant, right? The Zulu sisters, they have no musical training, right? They didn't have piano lessons or violin lessons, or they're not in the Chinese orchestra, right? You guys have way more musical training than they do. With them, it is all about heart. And that's the point that I want to get across. It is all about heart. If you can pour your heart into whatever you do, then you will have no problem bringing joy to anyone that you're with. Any questions on that? Okay, so let's move on and talk a little bit about what it means to learn and grow. Well, that's supposed to say that's all right. So, for those of you who've come to Herman, you'll know, or I guess if your memory span is out of a week, maybe you don't know, maybe I'll remind you, that when you guys come to Herman, before we go in, I often say, make sure you keep your eyes open, really be hyper-aware and hyper-observant of what's going on, because afterwards, we're going to gather on the grass across the street, and we're going to have some sharing, and I want you each to have some reflections, right? And the nursing home is actually a perfect place to do that because usually, there it is. Usually, when we're at the nursing home with you guys, it looks something like this. We have one person playing the violin and 7 people standing around fata'in. Right? And that's fine, right? One person's playing the violin, right? You can't have 8 people playing violin at the same time, right? But it's actually a perfect opportunity, instead of standing around and staring at your shoes, to really soak in the environment that you're in. Because you'll be surprised at the things that you'll learn. So I realized that I've never really had have the time to explain to you what I mean by being hyper-aware and hyper-observant and having reflections to share at the end. So, what I thought I'd do today is to take the time to explain to you in pictures what I mean, and explain to you the process that I go through that I think would be interesting, if you guys tried it, right? So, let's start with this, right? So this is the front gate of Herman, right? This is what you see before you get in. Now, can someone tell me what is special about this gate? People at Herman. What? You guys are whispering. I can't hear you. There's some whispering. Okay. So normally, what are gates for? Gates have a lock on them. They're used to keep people out, right? You don't want people coming in and intruding and whatnot. Well, what's special about this gate? It's locked from the inside. So it's actually, we can't get in or out with someone from the staff, without someone from the staff coming in and locking for us. Now, why would that be? Why is it locked from the inside?
So you feel safe.
So you feel safe? So if I lock this door from the inside, so I don't let you leave, you're going to feel more safe?
If you lock the door from the inside, then people from the outside can come in.
If you lock the door from the inside, people from the outside can't come in? I think we need to go to Home Depot and look at some locks and we can explain how they work. Alright, so the reason, so as Ms. Alma mentioned, every nursing home is very different, right? Now, at Herman Healthcare Center, a lot of, the vast majority of the residents not only have physical limitations, but mental limitations as well, right? So a lot of them have dementia and Alzheimer's, which means that if they leave the facility and they go for a walk, within, a couple minutes, they're going to forget who they are, where they came from, and they're not going to be able to find their way back. And I think over the course of your lifetime, many of you will experience this. I have myself, my own grandfather, right, wandered off into the streets when he was in Taiwan. Same thing happened. He couldn't find back. Right? We needed a stranger to help him find his way home. That's interesting. So keep this image in mind as we go forward to the other images, right? So this is a typical scene from Herman, right? So we have Ethan there playing the violin. And just look at this picture and just tell me any observations you might have. Any observations? Tell me something that you see. You see a TV, good. We'll come back to that. What else? What? A chair? What about the chairs? They're black? Okay, cool. Yeah, hey, now everything has a reason, right? Everything has a reason. I won't get into that one. You can ponder that on your own. Why are the chairs black? Okay, what else do you see? What are they sitting in? Wheelchairs. Why do you sit on a wheelchair? So you can move, right? Because you have a difficult time walking on your own power. Okay, interesting. Okay, so we're learning more and more each step without even being physically there, just by looking at the pictures. We're learning a little bit about who these residents are and what they're going through and what their needs are, right? So let's zoom in a little bit. And actually, you already jumped the gun for me. The thing I was going to point out in this picture is the television, which apparently you didn't need to zoom in to see. So why do I point out a television? Why is the television interesting? Why is television interesting? Okay, I'm going to pick you. Let's see. I'm going to pick you. So I want you to tell me, in your household, what are all the different screens that you have?
iPad, iPhone, TV.
How many of each?
2 TVs, like 3 tablets.
Okay, go ahead. Hey, come on now. You tell me you guys don't have all that? Give me a break. All right. So, now, do you guys have like some kind of streaming video service?
What do you mean?
Like Hulu or... You have Netflix. Okay, good. Okay, so generally when, at least twice a year, there's like 2 big announcements, right? What's the new Samsung gadget and what's the new Apple gadget, right? And everybody gets all excited, like, oh, my phone is so old. I have an iPhone 5S and now they're at 6 and it's like a whole inch bigger. I need the iPhone 6, right? So I think that it is so pervasive in our culture and in our community that we forget, I think, sometimes to stop and think like, wow, my family has 3 iPads. You know? Like, or, wow, my iPhone's only 2 years old. Like, do I really need another one? Right? Because if you think, it's not just the number of devices, it's like the number of options you have. Whenever you want any kind of entertainment, you have, YouTube, you can look up anything you want. You have Netflix, where some TV show that played a week ago, you missed it, you can stream it now. You can literally do whatever you want, and for some reason that is still not enough for us, right? We still need more. But if you look at this here, this is their recreation room, right? What do they do for recreation? They watch TV. Do they get their own, they get to choose Netflix? Like, let me watch episode 3 of House of Cards, or whatever. No, right? They get to watch whatever everyone else gets to watch. So that's something, right? Being at a nursing home kind of reminds us of a lot of things that we take for granted, right? Okay, so let's zoom in on a different part of the picture. What do you guys see here? Wheelchair. Wheelchair, good. What else do you see? A baby. Okay, that's interesting. Nice. It's not a real baby. Okay, it's not a real baby. It's a baby doll. Okay, that's interesting. Why would she have a baby doll? It's a kid's toy, right? Why would she have a baby doll? Right? Well, there's something interesting about life that you guys may have already started to experience, and if not, you will be able to experience it soon, pretty soon. And it is that life is very cyclical. Right now you're at the younger end of the life spectrum, and you primarily think about your life trajectory as growing older, right? And as you grow older, you get more mature, you're able to do more things, you're more independent. But actually, once you reach a certain age, that goes in reverse. Okay? You start becoming more and more like a child, actually. You aren't able to communicate, you can't talk, you can't bathe yourself, you can't feed yourself, you have trouble walking, right? And you also start enjoying kids' toys, right? So life is very fair. Life is very fair. If you look at that first image of the whole room, okay, can you tell of those people when they were our age who was rich and who was poor? Who had good grades and who didn't even get to go to school, right? Who was popular or who was a loner? Right? They're all in the same place now, right? So life is very, very fair, okay? None of us can escape the limitations of our physical body, right? So that gives us a different perspective on priorities. What's important in life, and what are the things we should stress about? What are the things that we should just let go of? Right? All right. So what else do you see here? One more thing I wanted to point out. What else do you see? You guys are whispering. You gotta say. You gotta speak up. I have no idea what you're saying. Wheelchair. Okay. What's on the wheelchair? A white thing. So someone tell me what that white thing is. Can someone tell me what the white thing is? Herman, people, come on. You've seen this thing go off, right? It's an alarm. This has you see there's a clip there to the back of her shirt, okay? And when the two ends of the clip touch, the alarm goes off, right? So basically, if she stands up, the clip falls off her shirt, the alarm goes off, and a nurse can come and have her sit back down. Why? Well, there's a reason why she's in a wheelchair, because if she gets up and starts walking on her own, she might fall and hurt herself. So this is interesting. So why did I pick these images to show you? Right, I showed you the gate, where they're locked in from the inside. I showed you that they're all in wheelchairs, so some of them can push themselves, but some of them need some other people to push them around for them. And then I showed you this alarm that prevents them from even standing up from their own wheelchair. And I point these all out because there's a very interesting thing we can learn from all this. Something so basic that we take advantage of every day that we never ever think about it. And it's our own mobility, our own autonomy. You can stand up when you want to. You can walk to the bathroom when you want to. You can go grab a bite to eat when you want to, right? Hey, how about when you guys are lined up and in the morning and you're coming in, you know, to the prayer music, right? Maybe some of you guys are thinking, why are we doing this? Why are my hands here? Why do I have to like pick up my feet? And why do we have to walk in rhythm and walk in order? Well, you know what? You can walk. That's an amazing, amazing thing to have, right? So, this process of looking at something that seems very normal, very everyday-like, and being hyper-focused on what your surroundings are, hyper-observant. And from that, being able to come away with deep understanding and deep gratitude. This is the process by which we call being mindful. And this is what I want you guys to be try practicing, not only at the nursing home, but really anywhere and any time that you're not, actively occupied by something else. I mean, even this morning, for example, have you guys thought about why? So we watched Master's teaching, right? Why did she pick that story to tell? And why did the organizers or the advisors pick that video to show you? Right? There is the message that is directly there, and then there's the message maybe that's one level deep. Anybody have any thoughts? So, one of the things that I had difficulty with, or still do actually, is that a lot of the content in Tzu Chi is in Chinese, right? Now I can speak Chinese, I can understand basic Chinese, but my level's not very good. I can't read. You guys actually read probably Chinese, a lot of you better than I do. And so to me, it's always been like, language has been such a barrier, growing up in the U.S. I speak Chinese. I grew up, with Chinese around me. The people, Master pointed out that the folks in Mozambique, they're singing in Chinese. They grew up speaking Zulu or whatever, other languages. If they can make it work, what excuse do we have, right? And so that, to me, that's something that I kind of looked at and thought about it and internalized it and tried to think, well, what else can I learn from this than just what is presented in front of me? Alright, so, with this in mind, why is Tzu Chi's mission based on helping others? Someone tell me? Why is Tzu Chi's mission based on helping others? Why do we do volunteer work? Somebody. Alright, you just yawn, so you get the answer. You don't know. Why are you here? Come on, man. Give me some answer. Give me some answer. Yes.
So we can inspire other people to help others after helping them.
Someone give him a round of applause. That's some insight, right? Some thought. That's good. So I'm not going to pretend to be the authority on this answer, right? I mean, everyone, there are many people out there who can explain it better than I can, but I will at least give you my interpretation and my take on why this is. So the first thing is that helping others teaches us empathy, right? You guys understand what empathy is? What's the difference between empathy and sympathy? Someone tell me, what's the difference between empathy and sympathy?
It's a connection to others.
Empathy is a connection to others. Good, right? So sympathy is feeling bad or feeling sorry for someone, right? Empathy is understanding that person's perspective, understanding how that person feels, okay? So helping others helps us understand empathy. Empathy helps us understand gratitude, right? Being grateful for what you have rather than being envious for what other people have is a much better way to live your life, okay? You'll be much happier. And gratitude helps us understand love and compassion. And love and compassion can change humanity. Now let's pause here for a second and talk about love and compassion. We use those words a lot in Tzu Chi, right? And even for me, when I first started, they kind of rang empty a little bit because I wasn't really sure what it really meant. I kind of just heard it being said by lots of people. So I want to take a second here. So love, you guys know, is the feeling of affection for someone, right? But this is not the love that a husband and wife feel for each other, or a parent and child feel for each other, or a brother and sister feel for each other, right? That love comes from an attachment that we have for that person has to us. Okay? So the love that we're talking about is a love that we inherently feel for all living beings. And that's not easy. That takes training. That takes practice because, our culture doesn't raise us to sort of think in those terms, right? It's certainly not something that the mainstream media promotes. It's not something we typically hear about, right? That takes practice. Okay, so hence that's why we need to practice, right? Compassion is the desire to help someone based on a deep understanding for that person's suffering, right? So how can this change humanity? So I want to go back to South Africa. Okay? I'm going to show you a video again from South Africa. It's going to be part of what we saw previously. And this is at the home, the first home that we visited when we were in South Africa. So this is a home of a woman who suffered a stroke. So she couldn't move, so she's restricted to her bed. And not only does she have no one to take care of her, her own daughter would beat her because she didn't know what a stroke was and she didn't know what was going on. So when we walked in this house, the first thing you notice is the stench. I mean, there is rotten food and flies everywhere. She can't move, and so she can't bathe. She can't go to the bathroom. Okay, so the first thing you notice is the stench. And that's where our Zulu sisters are singing, giving her a sponge bath, and cleaning up the house. Now, what could possess these Zulu sisters to go in a house full of feces and urine and rot and clean it all up and sing with passion while they're doing it? And not only that, they're not just singing for the woman in the bed. When they're done, they're heading back to the bus, they're singing and dancing and smiling to us. They're actually joyful after doing all that work, right? And remember, these Zulu sisters, they themselves today still live in poverty, right? But that is the power of love and compassion, right? Everything else is temporary. You give someone food, that person could still be hungry tomorrow. You clean up someone's house, that house could, be dirty again in a month or whatever. But if you use those as a vehicle to deliver love and compassion, then that is something that can stay with someone forever. So, I'll try to, let's see here. Yeah, we have time. All right, so we talked a lot about big ideas today, right? And so I want to get a little bit more pragmatic and talk about some of the things that you guys can do to prepare for the nursing home visit. All right, so the first thing I want to say is this is an opportunity for you guys to practice leadership, right? So you guys, I know, once a year or once every other year, have a class on leadership. And trust me, leadership is not something you can learn in a class in 3 hours. Okay, this is an opportunity for you guys who have been to nursing homes. You know what works well. You know what doesn't work well. Take ownership, okay? Try to come up with a program that you think works best for you and for the residents. What do we do at Herman? Well, we have people like you go out and play the piano, play the violin, and we also sing to them, right? So we take a lot of songs that they enjoyed when they were our age, and we sing for them. And so what I actually do is download the karaoke versions of the songs and put it on my laptop. I actually spin it around so the residents can see it, and so where I'm taking this photo from, that's actually where I sing from. I actually, put my arms around them and I, engage with them and sing with them. And that's me playing the ukulele, right? So I picked up a ukulele in July, got a couple books, and so started playing ukulele for them. So what are some other ideas you can explore? We could learn a new instrument, right? Like I said, I learned a new instrument in a couple months, and now I was playing with it. You guys are way more talented than I am, so you guys should be able to do even better. You can find more modern songs, right, that you guys can relate to, that you guys would be happier singing, that would still work for the residents. Right, for example, we just went to yesterday and sang Christmas songs. Maybe you can sing the Mariah Carey version of Christmas songs instead of the Bing Crosby version, right? Some parents have some ideas of magic tricks and games you can play with them. Ms. Alma has some ideas of exercise, and right? There's plenty of things that, other ideas you can do with them, crafts, manicures. And what I will say is, get your parents involved. Okay, this is an opportunity to take ownership. Okay, you can go to your parents and say, hey, you're not off the hook. Okay, you're not just a chaperone. You're also here to bring joy to the residents. You're also here to learn and grow. So get involved, right? So, at Herman Nest, a lot of the parents are really involved. Some of them also stand outside the window and stare, right? Hey, it's an opportunity for you to take ownership. They're back there. They can't hear me right now, so I'm relying on you guys. But what I will say is no matter what you do, make sure you check with your parents and advisors, and most importantly, check the nursing home staff to make sure it's appropriate, right? Because every nursing home has different situations. Or simply just engage with them. You don't have to do any of that. Just hold their hands, talk to them, ask them how their day is going. Because ultimately, that's the purpose of all this. The purpose of what we're doing is just a vehicle to deliver love and care and compassion. So whatever you do that does that is just fine. And the last thing I'll say here is that, even though the focus of today's talk is about the nursing home and, about how you can make the most of your experience there, the things that I talked about that will make your experience at the nursing home more positive, is stuff that will help you in general in life, right? Take ownership, right? Don't be the victim. Don't, be like, oh, someone's telling me to do something, so I guess I'll just drag my feet and do it. There's no point, right? Take ownership and make your opportunities what you want them to be. Find the gratitude. Again, life is a lot better when you're grateful for what you have rather than envious for what other people have. And find the love and compassion. That's really important in everything that we do in Tsuji, because that ultimately is the motivation that drives us to do what we do. And if you have the right motivation to drive you, you guys are all smart people, capable people. I know that you guys will find a good solution and do a good job. Thank you for your time.